Congratulations, you got a new 2019 N tangential manual extractor. Let's take out the parts. Some assembly is required, but none of it is difficult. This is the handle that goes onto the crank arm. There's a long bolt inside of the black plastic handle. Screw the bolt into the crank arm, take the included Allen wrench, and put the long side of it into that long bolt. And screw the black handle onto the crank arm, but not too tight. You do want it to have a little bit of gap right at the end where it meets the crank arm. Now put on the nut. Hold it with the little wrench that was included with your extractor. And that should be it. If you find out that black handle won't spin freely, that's because it's a little too tight there. That black handle should definitely spin freely as you crank the extractor around. There should be no friction on your hand. Also notice when Greg turns the handle backwards, it puts the brakes on the basket, which is a nice feature. There are 3 legs with rubber feet and 6 bolts to attach those legs to the extractor. We just have to assemble these bolts first. Make sure that the head of the bolt is sunken down into that hexagonal hole and put on the black plastic cap. Stand the extractor up on the table to make it easy to get those first 2 legs on. Then put on the 3rd one and you're set. When you're putting the lids on, notice that the gearbox has a curved side and a flat side. The one lid that's supposed to open so that you can put your frames in should be on the side of the gearbox that's flat. Put your honey frames in and take them out on the side that has the handle. The lid with no handle should stay shut all the time. While you're running your extractor and extracting honey, make sure that your honey gate is open and honey can freely flow out as you work. Otherwise, the honey will come up to the bottom of the basket and slow the basket down. When you're done extracting, you may want to take off the crossbar, handle, gear assembly, and pull the basket up to make sure that you can clean everything down under the basket. Just spray some water in from your high pressure sprayer on your garden hose and it should clean up nice. Down in the center there, you'll see there is a ball bearing. When you're putting it back together, just make sure that the bottom of the shaft lands right on the ball bearing. So the basket is in and we're going to put the bar down. Make sure you line up the parts in the center. And also notice one side has a longer bolt. That's because of that black structure that holds up the shaft between the crank arm and the gearbox. Adds a little more height. So you need to have the long bolt going through on that side. You'll notice that the extractor has a protective blue film on it. And you can leave that on or just peel it off and have the beautiful stainless steel showing. So you've used your fume board or your triangle escape or your blower or just shake and brush, and your frames have no bees on them now and you want to harvest that honey from the frames. What do? First thing is bring them in the house so no bees get back on them. You have to do your extraction, your harvesting indoors where no bees can get to it. I'm going to show you some different tools to uncap. The first one you see here is this large gray plastic uncapping tub with a crossbar across it to rest your frames on. And there's also a honey gate at the bottom to drain out the honey after it drips off of your cappings as they set on the grate. So one side of this has already been uncapped, and we're going to uncap the other side and a few more frames. This is a cold knife, and it's extremely sharp and thin. Just use a gentle sawing motion. and the wax cappings will fall right into your tub. They can be used later on to make some candles or some lip balm or things like that. Just let the cappings drain for about a week to let the honey that's adhering to them come off, and then you can use that honey. This uncapping scratcher just helps you get any spots that the knife missed and get into the corners. This is the honey gate I was referring to. So after the cappings have rested for about a week, you can drain off some honey. And it's nice to keep it covered with the tub's cover to keep any dust from falling in. These are some of the sticky cappings and the grate at the bottom I wanted to show you. Not a lot of honey adheres to the cappings. For instance, in a medium frame, there might be 4.5 pounds of honey, and there's a few ounces clinging to the cappings from each side, but it's no good to waste that honey. This is an uncapping plane, which is a heated device, and it acts kind of like a giant razor, and you shave off the cappings. It's about the same width as a medium frame. I like the plane because the motion is pulling towards me, and that's easier on my wrist than the uncapping knife. It's a good idea to attach the legs to a pallet or a half sheet of plywood and put something heavy down there, like a few buckets full of water. Or you could anchor the extractor down with thin chains and turnbuckles if your extractor shakes because of unbalanced frames. Spinning the handle slower will also help if the extractor is unbalanced. As more honey comes out, it will shake less and less. Sometimes it's hard to get frames that are exactly balanced because of their thickness or the fact that some are wood and some are plastic, etc. With tangential extractors, one side of the frames is extracted at a time. After 7 to 10 minutes of spinning, depending on the warmth of the frames of honey, one side should be done. A way to tell if the honey is out of the cells is to stare at the small gap between the spinning basket and the inner wall of the drum, and watch for honey flying across the gap. To extract the side that was facing into the middle, pull up and rotate each frame and put it back in the basket, and go back to spinning. Have fun! Feel free to contact us through the website or give us a call if you have any troubles with your extractor. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Better Be's channel for more helpful content.